Hey, this is Louise here. Welcome to my channel where I share with new traders tips and insights that I have learned on my journey as a new trader in hopes that it'll save you from some of the pain, heartache, tough lessons, and some money on your journey as a new trader. Today's tip is what you might not know about stop losses. And stay tuned for my final tip. You don't want to miss it. It's really good. Hopefully this doesn't sound too strange, but as a new trader, you might not know that not all traders use stop losses. I didn't know about this because I was so hardcore on the risk management research, and everywhere I read, use a stop loss, use a stop loss. It was just everywhere. Because in my mind, having a stop loss entered along with my order was the ultimate way to minimize any potential losses. So it was just unthinkable to not have a stop loss entered in with your order. When I say that some traders don't use stop losses, I mean that they don't enter them into the system or enter them along with their orders when they're purchasing shares. But they absolutely have them. They're just used in a different way than I had interpreted or had known when I started out trading. But once I'd experienced being stopped out a few times, it didn't seem to me like these stop losses being set were saving me money. It seemed like they were actually costing me money. And they were. Here's the reasons why. Know this very common problem that new traders have, which is that when they set their stop losses, they're usually setting them too tight, which means that the stock doesn't have any room to breathe or to move, which it's gonna need to do because that's what stocks do. They move up and down and all around. Here's an example of how stop losses being set too tight can cost you money. If you look here at this chart, this is for Tempur Sealy, which I had bought back in October of 2020. I had my stop loss set at $85. But if you notice on this chart here, like around 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., it gets close to 85, but it doesn't hit 85. It just gets close to it. And I'm going to come back to this chart because the last bit of advice I have has to do with this chart and this company and how I ended up getting stopped out. And as you can see here, I bought the shares on 10/29 for $88.24, and then they were sold the very next day. And I remember how I said that my stop loss was $85. Look at the price that it sold at, $86.49. This was like, first of all, that they sold, I was like, wait, what? It didn't hit 85. Wait until you hear what happened to me and how these ended up being sold. But this is my final bit of advice coming up shortly at the end of the video, and you want to hear it because it's crazy. Managing risk has always been a priority for me, as I'm sure it is for you as well. But when I started to dig a little deeper into the world of stop losses, what became clear to me is that there are various schools of thought on the effectiveness and the use of stop losses. And there is a lively debate about whether traders should be using them or shouldn't be using them. I'm not advocating for using them or not using them, but I am advocating for you to do some deeper digging into that debate and to find out for yourself which side of the coin makes more sense for you. And by doing some more digging, you'll get a deeper understanding of stop losses and of the stock market. To manage risk, traders need to know what their stop loss is going to be in order to calculate the risk reward. And whether you calculate that number based on a percentage, like I'm only willing to lose 5 or 10% of a trade, let's say, or if you find a previous area of support to use as your stop loss, either way, you need to know where this number is and where your limits are. What's the maximum that you're willing to lose on a trade? That would be your stop loss. But you will always need to know this number whether you are entering it into the system with your orders or not. Now, if you are going to use stop losses all of the time because, let's say, you can't monitor the market every day and you can't monitor the share price all of the time. One other thing that you should know about stop losses is that they should be updated and changed daily. So let's just say the most ideal situation is that your stock is just moving up and up and up and up. It's fantastic. You don't want to keep your stop loss in its original place. You want to update it daily based on its price movement, and this way you're also locking in a profit. Okay, the moment you've been waiting for. The $1 million, like, woohoo, this is like a really, really good bit of insight and a tip. So one thing that you absolutely need to know about stop losses, if your stop loss becomes the same price as what the bid price is, it will trigger your stop loss. And the stock never has to sell for that amount. This was one of the crazy things that happened to me, and it also infuriated me as well. So I had bought a bunch of shares in Tempur Sealy, and my stop loss was $85. I take a look at my account and I'm like, where are my shares of Tempur Sealy? And so I called Charles Schwab to find out what had happened, because I also looked at the chart for that day and the candlestick never hit $85. And I'm like, well, my stop loss wasn't hit. Why do I not have my shares anymore? So the first person I talked to at Charles Schwab didn't know the answer. The second person I talked to at Charles Schwab didn't know the answer. They were super nice, but they had to go talk to somebody special who could get me this answer. The answer was that ever so briefly, the bid price had become $85. Even though it never sold for that. I mean, I just was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was really surprised about this because in every video I had watched and all the articles I had read, I just never came across the information that a bid price can set off your stop loss. So in case you don't know that, that's something you're gonna want to know and to keep in mind if you're using stop losses. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope that this little bit of, what you might not know about stop losses is helpful for you. Please comment below, and thank you so much for watching.